Count yourself very lucky if your marriage is one of love at first sight. For many people, getting married came as a means of necessity, rather, not necessarily from love.
Right.
And whether that is for cultural reasons, for legal reasons, financial reasons, or even medical reasons sometimes, these marriages are known as what we call unorthodox marriages. Marriages that didn't necessarily start out in the most traditional way, which is from love, from a place of love, but instead they started out from a place of necessity. Yes. The question we're asking tonight, or this morning rather, is can true love be developed in an unorthodox marriage? That is what we'll be discussing on today. Welcome back to My Darling Bride podcast, powered by Refuge and Fortress Network. On this podcast, we dig, we discover, we discuss precious gems for the building or the rebuilding of kingdom homes and relationships. I am Pastor Emmanuel Oludahunsi. I'm joined today by my own darling bride, PL.
Hello.
And PK, all the way from Connecticut.
Welcome back, y'all.
Connecticut.
Yep. So exactly. So we got PK on this one today.
Welcome back, PK.
Yeah, exactly. So talking about welcome back, y'all.
Welcome back to you.
Welcome back to you. Going in and out, you know. But this is an interesting one because man, the person we're talking about today, I actually grew up liking the guy, you know what I mean? He was one of my favorite actors, you know, growing up, but we're gonna get into it. But for now, if you're yet to subscribe, please go ahead and do so now. Also comment and share this podcast or this episode with anyone you believe is gonna be a blessing or be blessed by today's episode. Take us further.
Absolutely, yes. So a recent story went viral about a famous actor by the name of Boy Alinko. For those people, you know, who were born in Nigeria, chances are you probably saw him on your TV screen growing up. That's Papa Jasco. That's the show. For those that are in America, just think about your Family Matters.
Yes.
Just Steve Urkel for Black America.
Exactly.
That's kind of like what
so
the show
Boy
is.
Alinko was for us Nigerian what Urkel was for Black America.
Exactly. So he came out recently that his marriage here in America was another one of those unorthodox marriages. He married an American woman for legal reasons, and his marriage hasn't been a walk in the park. He remarks that she constantly mistreated him, beat him, threatened him even to take away his documentation if he didn't do what she wanted of him. Essentially, he was a slave in his own home due to his legal conditions here in the United States. Now, this story is an extreme case, but there are many instances where the relationship or the marriage was initiated as a mutual agreement between the man and the woman, meaning they were on the same page as to why they were getting married, right? So the question now really is, can there be a spark of love in these kind of marriages, regardless of how it started? You know, can true love really grow in a marriage that began as an arrangement? Or is love an intentional choice, or is it something that must happen naturally? Like, must love happen naturally, or is it a choice you make, you know? Or if one partner develops feelings and the other doesn't, is it considered emotional neglect? So, you know, that's kind of like some of the questions of mine.
I love where you're going with this. You know, many marriages today begin for practical reasons, at least today, in this day and age, at least, whether arranged by a family member or legal benefits like immigration, papers,
which happens,
which happens, and this episode today is not about that.
Not about that.
But while some believe love it has to come naturally, other people argue that love can grow, you know, when nurtured, right? With commitment, with shared experiences, we're living life together. Like, you can eventually get to the point where you actually love the person, even if you didn't love them to begin with. And so the question, if love is a choice, then we are also saying that unorthodox marriages can evolve into deep, lasting unions. And this is important because we say it all the time on this platform that you kind of want to marry the person you love.
Yeah.
That's
why.
always been our stand.
Yeah.
And so
and will always be.
Exactly, right?
I guess
But at the same time, we are also making allowance, right, for reality.
Right.
Reality, because not everybody would be lucky enough to find themselves in a place where they have love.
Right.
As the foundation of their marriage, right? Some people conditional meja kako.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Conditional meja.
How do I translate?
Don't forgive you.
Let me translate that.
Give us a translation.
Give us a translation.
Conditional meja kako.
There you go.
That's your translation. I'm gonna need you to log off this podcast right now.
Condition lo meja kako. And what? Okay, so this is the translation. This is the translation. Okay, give us translation.
It is
please.
Condition that makes the fish to cackle.
Hey.
What's the translation for cackle?
All right.
Now condition make crayfish bend.
Bend your head.
No. Okay, so wait.
literal
So if that's the translation, what's the interpretation?
Okay, there we go. That's a different conversation. So what is the interpretation? We do that for you.
The interpretation is that your condition is the condition you find yourself that conditions you to have to do what you have to do.
Okay.
What do
you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
in English class.
I got a B plus or an A minus. One of those. I got an A.
Well, we can move on from this conversation. I don't want no parts of this conversation.
Then you know. So what we're saying is, in a more realistic sense,
right?
Giving room and making allowance for other people whose relationship didn't start out that way. What can they do?
Right, exactly.
Can there still be love?
Is there still hope?
Is there still hope? Right? Because when you read in the book of Genesis 29, we see the story of Jacob. Jacob left his home to go get married, right? And he was promised Rachel.
Yeah.
But then after serving Laban for some time, he got Leah.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
He played him a little bit.
He got played and he got Leah.
Yeah.
But through and that came through circumstances that was beyond his or her control. You know what I mean?
Leah had to get married first because she's the oldest.
She's the oldest. Not only is she the oldest,
culture.
Let's get into it a little bit. Not only is she the oldest, she was also, the Bible says, I think there's a part in the Bible where it says she was cross-eyed. She wasn't like
the most favorable,
the most attractive person that people were jumping on to say they want to marry. So the father wanted to marry her off.
Right. So now that's somebody that has to have a circumstantial marriage.
Exactly. You know, and then the condition then became, and then he got married to her, and then he said, if you really want Rachel, you got to serve another 7 years.
He was playing him.
He played him. And so he gave him 2 daughters and 2 maid servants. So Jacob ended up with 4 wives, right?
Yeah.
But despite an unorthodox beginning, Leah still wanted to be loved. And over time, we saw that the relationship grew into something more than just obligation.
Yeah.
It grew into love.
Yeah.
Over time. And of course, a lot happened within that time because we also remember that God actually punished Rachel because of how Jacob treated Leah.
Yeah.
Right? God didn't let her have kids because he saw that Jacob wasn't being nice to Leah. Until Jacob actually, really opened up and actually loved her and actually did what he was supposed to do as a husband to her. Then was Rachel able to actually give birth.
Yeah.
What is that teaching us? It's teaching us that love is not always instant. And it's also teaching us that love can be cultivated through patience and commitment.
Yes.
Right. It's also teaching us that even in arranged or unconventional marriages or unorthodox marriages, like we say, love can blossom when both partners are intentional about building intimacy and understanding. So that is what we're learning here from Genesis 29.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back to reality now. In today's world, let me ask both of y'all first. Would you marry for anything other than love? Would you?
As in me personally?
Yes, you personally.
To the glory of God.
I ain't actually.
To the
what do you mean, like you? Yes, you.
Like you, like me, like as we me.
Me as I am.
To be as I am, I am as I am. to the glory of God.
Answer the question,
I've
please.
been okay. So
Answer the question. And don't go by your current situation.
Yeah. Just
would
answer the
I
question.
marry for anything other than love?
Yes.
No, I would not.
Why not?
Because
You
it's
said-
such an
you said
important
me
factor
now.
for me.
That's my personal decision.
I be you as why not?
Oh.
No, because I question my own personal. Wait, why not? No, because for me though, personally, that's an important factor for me. Like I can't see myself being in a situation or a relationship where I don't like you and you don't like me. You know what I'm saying? Like the love is not there.
Okay.
For me, it's like it has to be there, even from the beginning. Like I could take it as far as let it be love at first sight kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how much it means to me. So would I marry for any other reason? And that's why I started with the glory of God. I've not been put in any situation where I've had to be. Do you understand what I'm saying? But because I've been privileged not to have to be, I can sit here and say no, I wouldn't. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
But not saying that situations can happen and cause somebody.
Yeah,
to
no,
make
we're
a
just
decision.
talking about you personally.
Yeah, me personally, based on how I truly feel and know myself, I don't think I can.
PK.
Yeah, me either. I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
I feel like love is an ideal foundation of marriage. So regardless of the circumstance that may or may not surround it,
Right.
If anything happens, you will always want to have that foundation to fall back to. Situations happen, things happen, even those that love each other, things happen. So imagine not having that as a foundation that you can fall back to. So,
But again, it goes back to my
personally,
question.
I think that's yeah.
But it goes back to what I was saying though. It goes back to love. Okay. Can we all agree one thing? That yes, love can be the origin. It can come from the beginning, but we can also agree that it can come much later.
No,
In the
absolutely.
relationship.
Oh yeah.
I agree with
Okay,
that.
so so that's what I'm saying, right? So if we're given that allowance, that love can come whether in the beginning or much
Or
later in the
Why
relationship,
can't we?
then why wouldn't you be more open to marriage even when love has yet to be developed?
Because for me personally, I don't have the patience. I don't want to have to deal with. Let me not say I don't have the patience, but I don't want to have to deal with the rockiness that leads to that. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because when love is not there in the beginning, there's a lot of things you got to work through. You got to figure it out. You got to try to pull it out of the person or yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? It's extra work added onto marriage that already requires work. So for me, I don't want that extra work.
Okay,
You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
I'd rather just say, okay, this part is settled. Now I can handle all the other things I need to handle when marriage is concerned. I don't want this extra added issue there where it's like now above everything else, now I gotta figure out a way for you to love me, or I gotta figure out a way for you to love me. It can grow, absolutely, but I don't want to have that situation. I don't want to have to deal with that. That's
You share the same sentiment, PK?
To some extent, I don't think I can. I think I can manage us not being on the same page, like
From a love standpoint.
From the love standpoint, there has to be something though. There has to be something I can work with, like an ounce of feelings, love that I can work with. It may not be on the same level, and like we just said, it's based on our intentionality. It's bound to grow, it's bound to get better, and we can work on things, we can brush on things, but if there is nothing whatsoever, I don't think I can do that.
so you're saying essentially if you guys like each other at the very least, right? You like
Yes.
each other where you could tolerate each other, you're fine with it as long as it eventually does develop with love. That's what you're
Exactly.
saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
It's
Some people-
interesting. I mean,
It's interesting.
It's
What about
interesting.
you? Because you,
Yeah, you keep asking everybody.
what about you? Would you marry for anything other than love?
Yes,
Okay.
I would. I really absolutely would, because, and the reason is because I, like Michael Jackson said, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Oh my gosh.
I have love in my heart for people. You know what I mean? But I think for me, it would have to be dependent on the situation. Like I said, condition. Lo shekini. You get
Makes
it?
the fish castle.
Exactly. It's condition. It really, really depends on where you find yourself and what the circumstances around why you have to do that would become like, for example, let's say, for example, let me give you an ideal situation that I've actually heard of and seen. So a guy and a girl met each other like a one-night stand kind of thing, right?
Okay.
And there was no love there. I mean, they just met each other at a club and they got to like messing around and things like that, right? The guy, right, found out that he got a visa to come to America.
Okay.
But the condition of that visa is that he was married. You understand what I'm saying? That's the condition for him to actually come to America.
Okay.
And for that lotto ticket to come to America, right?
Okay.
So he went and called the girl and was like, yo, I know we just met and everything, but honestly, I've been trying to get to America for a long time. I don't know about you, but are you willing to, like, get married so we can at least, even if we get to America and we both end up not liking each other and we break up, whatever, but at least let's both work on this thing together, get married for paper's sake, and then go to America together. When we get there, we'll figure out our love life together when we get there, but at least, you know what I mean? So in a condition like that, of course, like I would do something like that, Now, it's a thing where we then get to America, right? Which was their case. They got to America, and they didn't know anyone in America other than each other. So it didn't make sense to kind of live separately,
right? So
and figure life out separately.
Right.
They were figuring life together. They were finding their footing in America as they went. But months went by, years went by. Eventually a baby came out of it. Eventually 2, 3. Eventually they just stayed together, and it just didn't make any sense to break up what didn't need to be broken.
Yeah.
And that was the foundation of their relationship and their marriage, and they're still together till today.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it really depends on the individual, right? Because I can say this for me. I feel like when it comes to, maybe because of the way I see marriage and my understanding of it, right? I wouldn't make the choice of going that step because it's important to me. Like what it means to me is more than just doing it because we can or because we have to. Like, and I'll say this, I was in a situation like that where it was brought up to do something like that, and I chose not to, and that was detriment to myself. It was a touch and go matter.
It was a risk.
It was a risk.
It wasn't detriment.
It wasn't detriment.
Not happened to you.
Not happened to me, but it was a risk. It was a big risk.
Of course it was.
That's why I used the word detriment. It was a big risk because it could have led to something that I didn't want. It was a risk, and I chose not to because of what marriage meant to me. Now, I can only say this because I've experienced something like that, and I know myself. But at the same time, I can say, okay, maybe life and death situation can make me say, you know what, let's do it. For example, I know people that have had medical situations where they needed, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They needed that to help them.
I mentioned something
about something I watched where there was a guy that was sick and he met a doctor. One of his doctors was helping him, but he had issues, I think, with insurance or something, and he needed papers, and he didn't have anybody to marry him. And this woman cared for him. They met in the hospital, cared for him. So she felt like she wanted to help him. So obviously, for conflict reasons, she took herself off the case. But then she married him, so that way he has access to her insurance and he could get medical. It was Grey's Anatomy. It was Grey's Anatomy. I love how you picked that up.
Of course.
But she gave it to him so that way he could get the medical help he needed. So that I can understand. Like, it's life and death we're talking about. It's a different I feel like it needs to be that real.
Right. But that's the thing, though. That's the thing. So, and this is where we got to be careful, right? Because we have this righteous reasons. Yeah, right? Like, my reason is more righteous than your reason.
No,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, we got to be careful.
Right.
Because while you are able to make allowance for a
that.
life and death situation,
Right.
I'm able to make allowance for a progressing our life reason.
Situation. Right.
So
If I was
nothing,
saying, because
there's no one way to it, pretty much.
Exactly.
And what's life and death for some people is different.
Exactly.
Too.
There's no one way to the situation, because again, again, for a lot of people that are listening out there, yes, we're Christians, we're all ministers on this platform, and you're hearing me and you're probably like, I don't know if a pastor should be saying that, I don't know if a minister should be saying that. No, read your Bible. Read your Bible. You will find many reasons why people got married other than love. Many reasons. Because even Jesus, Jesus, even God, the reason for bringing Eve and Adam together was not really love.
Right.
It was
companionship.
Not even companionship, to be quite honest, because homie was not bored. He had company. All these animals were keeping him company.
He did have company.
It was not. God,
it was actually
the primary reason why God gave him Eve was reproduction. Because for the replenishment and the multiplication of mankind, God gave him another woman. If it's about helpmates, another Steve would have done it. Adam just needed help in fulfilling his task.
His task, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
The work he had to
do. Tilling the ground and things like that. Like, for example, farmers. They don't call their wives to say, let's go to the farm together.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a bunch of farmers, bunch of dudes, or hunters, for example. They don't say, my wife, let's go hunt together, right? They call a bunch of their friends and we all go hunting and we'll go farming together. We'll go fishing together, right? So if it's about that, another dude could have done it, right? Yes. If it was solely about love that God wanted Adam to have, it would have given him
exactly.
Steve. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But because it's more than that.
Right.
It's more about reproduction. It's more about, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So God gave him Eve. You follow what I'm saying? So even that relationship didn't start from a place of love.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? Love was developed afterward. Matter of fact, there's some chronological books, right, that we read that tells us that after who died? Was it Cain or Abel?
Abel died first.
Abel died because Cain killed Abel, right? That Eve was very upset and she kind of separated from Adam for a while until they had Seth.
Right.
So between the time Abel died to the time when they had Seth, they almost divorced because there was tension between the two of them.
Right. Okay.
But eventually they came back together again. Love was developed and they had Seth. And that's why she was like, God has finally found favor on me, had favor on me, because home is good, husband is good, a new baby is born, life is good. You follow what I'm saying? So even in their situation, love was developed over time. Over time, right? And that's what I'm saying. And so I was just saying all that to kind of lay the foundation for those who are listening, that there are certain circumstances, instances that make you have to do something, and it doesn't delegitimize your relationship or your marriage because it didn't start out in the most traditional way.
Absolutely. So as long as we have something as a foundation, now personally, if there's absolutely nothing, I personally, I can't talk about the next person, I personally can do it. But as long as there is something, and what do I mean by something? There is the trust, there is the mutual respect, something that we can build on.
Okay. I like that you're clarifying that. So you're saying that as long as there's something, even if it's not love.
Yes. Even if it's not love, but at least we can tolerate each other. We trust each other. We have mutual respect for each other.
Now, I guess my question is, could this be a gender thing though? could it be that you guys feel this? Because I feel completely different.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
I feel complete. I understand what you're
Possible.
both saying, and I get that. I get it. If there's things you can build on, you're okay with it.
Okay.
But I feel like I need love to say I want to marry you.
Wow.
To say I want to get in a
But
marriage with you.
what is
I feel like
what
love
is
must be
love?
there.
What is love though? If that is something you haven't really experienced, you might have had something going on that you classify or define as love in your courtship days. But true love or true understanding of each other comes when you guys start living together, when you guys start having things to do with each other. That's when you know exactly who this person is, because someone can pretend for 5 years in courtship and be a completely totally different person in marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not even about that. I guess for me, when I say I feel like the love must be there, is love can be defined as so many different things. And like you said, what you experience before you get married, because once you get married, things expand, you get to know each other more, the love can get bigger. But the bottom line is, for example, I'll use our situation. When we met, obviously off the bat, we liked each other. Over time, we developed. We've always said it was love at first sight, right? And that's just a feeling we felt. That's an emotional thing. That could differ for somebody else, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, I have to feel, at least what I've experienced in my life, I feel like I needed to feel that to get to the point to say I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I can't just say yes, you're committed to me, or yes, there's certain things you would do, absolutely, that will make me feel, oh my God, I'm so in love with this guy.
Like your dad can't just come from the village and say, this is who
I'm going to marry, and then it's like, okay, we're friends, and then we start going out to whatever. That can't work for me.
Gotcha.
You can't bring me a stranger. I have to, first of all, it has to be my choice. Let me start there.
Okay.
If we're talking about love, it has to be my choice. It's not somebody brought the person. You could introduce me to somebody, and I could be like, I'm good. Or you could introduce me to somebody, I'd be like, oh, okay, what are you about? Because maybe from first being, I'm physically attracted to you. You know what I'm saying? That's a type of love. But what I'm just saying is, it's a choice I made, that yes, what I'm feeling inside for this person, I want to explore it more. Gotcha. It's not that it's like, this is what I brought to you, oh yeah, you guys marry each other. That doesn't work for me. Gotcha. You understand what I'm saying? So love can be defined in so many ways, but the bottom line is, it's my choice on how I feel to explore it further. So that's why I said, could it be a gender thing, in the sense of for women, we're a little bit more emotionally in tuned with our feelings. So for us, we look for the lovey-doveys, we look for the love part.
Gotcha.
But for men, it's like, if you're faithful to me, if you're loyal to me, that's enough for me. Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. So maybe that's why we have this difference in opinion, where it's like, for me, it's like, my love, or my definition of love, is more than you just saying you're committed to me, or it's more than you just saying you're faithful to me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's very possible that you are right, that it is maybe a woman thing versus a man thing. But I also think that you're also right in how you started the conversation in the beginning of the episode, where you said, to the glory of God, you have not been put in that position. Because I feel like there are a lot of women out there that
don't have
a choice. And they will jump on any kind of thing right now, just to secure themselves.
Absolutely.
Which if you think about it, back in the day, that was the case.
Yeah. In some countries, it is.
You know what I'm saying? You wanted to be married because you wanted to secure your future.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because you love the guy.
Yeah.
You go by, I love. At that point, it's like
love.
Love.
I need to have a home. I don't want to be ashamed. I don't want to be ridiculed.
And back in the day too, after a while, after a certain age, you needed to be sent out somewhere. Go be a second wife somewhere. Just get out of my house.
Exactly.
That was like the mentality back then.
Now, PK mentions commitment, and I like that you brought that up. So I guess my question is, how does commitment differ from love, and can one lead to another?
Good one. PK, you have the floor.
Since you brought it up.
How can commitment
differ from love? And can one lead to another? Can commitment lead to love? Can love lead to commitment?
That is so. How does it differ? Let me see if I can paint a picture there.
Because some guys will be like, I'm committed to you. And the girls is like, what? That doesn't mean you love me. So how does it differ? What's the difference between commitment and love?
I was gonna say it's a crazy thing, because essentially what the question is asking is, how does your sacrifice for me differ from how you feel for me?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because I could not touch you, but I make sure there's a roof over your head, food on the table,
I make
clothes
sure
on
you're
your back.
not lacking anything.
You're not lacking in anything.
But doesn't mean that I have the love, the genuine.
You follow what I'm saying?
for
Matter of
you.
fact, we could be sleeping in 2 different rooms and nobody would know. Nobody would be wiser, because I do my responsibility. I'm committed to you. If there's anything you ever need, you don't want for anything. But that doesn't mean we're friends. It doesn't mean we're playing all around. It doesn't mean we kiki in the house, we laugh. May not even mean we get intimate.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? There's no feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to that, I feel like commitment is, in my own opinion, is should be the foundation, obviously. But when I'm thinking about it now, it's also an intentional thing that it's like you having a decision that you are in this situation come what may. Like PY just said, I can say I love you. Well, I can say I'm committed to you, but not necessarily in love with you. But at some point, it is the ideal thing is that it would eventually nurture over time to become love. Commitment is like the foundation. Love is like the fruit. So you can commit before you love before love fully develops. But commitment is what keeps the love alive when feeling fades off.
There is a difference. Let's be clear on that.
Sure.
There is a difference. The question is, how does commitment differ? How is it different from love? And can one lead to another? I think, PK, you answered the part B of that question. You answered the part B of the question that's, yes, commitment can lead to love. Right. And love also can lead to commitment. Yes. I can be committed to you because I love you.
Right.
And I can also love you because I'm committed to you. Right.
Well,
there's a difference.
If I'm in love with you, I'm already committed to you, though.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Right? Not necessarily. I can be very much in love with you, but not committed to you.
Okay.
It's very, very possible.
That's possible. Yes.
Very, very possible. Right?
Love doesn't necessarily mean commitment.
No. And
because love is just an emotion. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
Commitment is action, meaning like it's something you decide to do. Like it's an action.
It's not
thing.
so. Yes, it is an action, but it's more so about, let's say, for example, look at our parents, for example, not particularly our specific parents, but our older generation, right?
Yeah.
They understood the concept of commitment.
Right.
They're suffering, but they stay together.
Right.
They're committed to one another.
Right.
They're loyal to one another. But that doesn't mean love is there.
Right.
Are you tracking so far?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that love is there, but they are committed.
Yeah.
And so, for example, I was listening to a pastor one day saying that, he feels like a lot of people in this generation, they have it too good, that they don't even know anything. And the Nigerian culture, the Yoruba culture, he was saying, should be adopted in the Bible. And his explanation was that because if the Yoruba culture is adopted in the Bible and is adopted in the churches, there will be less divorces. Why? This is his explanation. He said that a lot of people back in the day, when they got married, they didn't marry each other. The families married each other. And so it made it difficult for you to say you have a problem, because then your problem is not your problem, it's the family's problem. And so whenever the couples have problem, they will call a family meeting. In the family meeting, they will discuss what their problem is amongst the families, the Oloriebis and the things like that, right? And then the father would then ask the daughter or whoever and say, look at your mom. Do you think I love her? Do you think she doesn't piss me off? Do you think she doesn't have issues? Okay, are we still together today? Okay, and then the woman would say, look at your dad. Do you think it's all loving all the time? Do you think it's this? Do you think it's that? No. Okay, but we're still together, right? And then they teach them the concept of commitment and loyalty. That once you're in it, and you figure out a way to solve your problem and move on with your life. But the conversation of divorce is just not welcome. It's not allowed. Don't ever talk about it anymore.
Danger.
And that's it. And that's how they settle the matter. And so that was how they stayed together back in the day. And the man was saying that he felt that worked back then, and it can still work today. Now you can be committed and not have love.
Not have love. Yes, that's true.
Right? Okay. And you can have love and not have commitment.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but they can lead to each other.
Yes.
And that's really why we're painting the difference. But there is a difference between commitment and love. I mean, for example, you guys used to watch this show called Scandal. Is it Scandal? What it's called? That guy that became a president, had the girl from Olivia Pope.
Yeah, Scandal.
Scandals, right?
The
president
was committed. Yes, he did not love his wife.
To his wife,
yes,
but he had love for Olivia Pope. I rest my case. That's it right there. That's it right there. That's it right there.
Yeah.
Drop the mic.
Let me.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good example.
You know.
That's
so he was very committed to his wife,
breathing in each other's face and walking.
Exactly. You know.
The question I wanted to throw in now is, what steps can couples take to build love when it wasn't in the beginning, when it didn't, originally
wasn't there from the beginning?
I think PK, you were actually alluding to that earlier in the conversation where you said you need something, right? And you were saying that it doesn't necessarily even have to be love, but I got to be able to trust you. We have to be able to work together. We gotta have something that we're working, and I think that's where it starts. It starts from something.
Yes, and thank
whatever
you.
that thing is. Is it in connection to what?
Yes, thank you that you actually asked that question, because I think it kind of reminded me of what I wanted to ask. That kind of ties to it.
Okay.
So then, in the beginning, we said, is love a choice? Is commitment a choice? So I guess that's the question now, because if it can grow and it can develop, we're talking about what steps you can take to get there.
True.
Would you then say it's a choice you make?
True.
First of all, you look at this person and you say, you know what, I'm with you already. We have some kind of friendship already. For us to even decide to, it's not like we hate each other. For us to even decide to get married to each other, knowing how serious that is, there's something there, like you say, there's something. It might not be a big deal, but there's something there. So now, can I make the choice and say, you know what, I choose you, and I want to develop? So can we say one way is by making that choice?
Go back to the example of the couple that I said that I know, who got married, who met as a one-night stand.
Right, from
they
Nigeria.
know each other from nowhere. Met at a club, one-night stand, and the next day he found out from the mail office that, hey, you got a visa, but the condition is you're married. You got to be married to somebody.
Okay.
Right. So in his mind, it's like, I don't have any other girl I can call.
Right.
So he called the girl from last night and said, hey, yo, like, lucky for me, I just got a visa. I'm going to America, but I need to be married. Will you just marry me?
Help me out.
And the girl is like, America? Oh yeah, we go.
Say no more.
Say less. Like,
Right.
So they got married. Yeah, exactly. Got
Yeah.
married about less than a month or whatever. They came to America. They didn't know nobody in America. It didn't make any sense for them to leave their separate
each other,
lives. So
right.
they just figured life out together in
They
America.
made a choice in that moment to
made
just
a
keep
choice.
going.
Even worked out for them, because them not knowing anyone means they don't
They
have
were stuck with
any
each other.
external.
Yes.
They're stuck with each other, yes, but also they don't have any external influence
Influences. There you go.
That's true.
against whatever it is they're
And-
trying to build.
Yeah.
So they are kind of forced to be friends of each other. They're
And to
kind
be
of
honest,
forced. Huh?
no, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't want
So
to.
they're kind of forced to be with each other. They're both new in a foreign land, so they're kind of forced to want to do things together. So in that atmosphere, knowingly or unknowingly to them, they are building
We're
something.
building something. Yeah.
I mean,
know?
and to
Yeah.
give them credit too, you can also say, going back to that question I asked about it being a choice, you can say they did make a choice.
Of course.
Because a lot of people do come to America, even going through that route, and they out.
Yeah.
They go figure something else out.
Yep.
Or the person that brought them in is like, yeah, I ain't doing this. Go figure yourself out,
Yeah.
and kicks them out.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they know people here.
Yeah.
So it is a choice they made to still, even after that,
with each other.
still stay together.
Yeah.
So I
Till
really
date.
Till date.
So that's you
And
should credit them on that. So
that goes
Yeah.
back to your question as
And
what you
now-
can
Now, let me
Steps
balance
you
it
can
and say
take.
this. Let me just balance this and say this, right? Whoever is listening right now and you find yourself in that exact same situation, and maybe this is giving you hope, and you're like, oh, yeah, if somebody can do it, maybe we can do it too. Please go ahead. If there's any kind of flame that you feel for one another, fan that flame,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not there for no reason. If
You already got married.
if there's
Why
some
not
kind of
work?
spark,
Yeah.
and like PK was saying, there's trust, there's something that you can work with, fan the flame and see where it leads, right? If that's your case. But what I was gonna say earlier was the reason why people decide to make the choice to stay together or develop that love can be different for everybody.
Yes.
In their case, for example, they got to a foreign land, they didn't know nobody, right? They had been messing around before moving to America. Maybe they continued messing around,
Right.
even though it didn't mean
There's
anything.
history there.
And then a baby came out of it, whether it was planned or unplanned. They had a child. Now we're still in a foreign land. There's a child in the picture now. We are stuck
tied for
together
life.
for life now with
Period.
this child.
Yeah.
And now baby number 2, baby number 3.
That's a choice at that point.
At that point, it's like, you know what? Let's just keep doing it. And now
at some point, maturity
kicks in.
should kick in
Yeah.
for you both to sit down and try to make this work.
Make it work.
Yeah.
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 And so
Because you have so many things that is going to tie you down for the
That's
rest of
time.
the
You're,
life.
you're
Exactly.
intertwined with
Exactly.
each other at
And
this
Make it
point.
work.
and from what I know about them, if I don't know that they love each other, one thing I do know is that they have friendship. They
Yeah.
play too much. They play. They're friends.
They're friends.
They're
Right.
very
Which
much so
can
friends.
definitely develop love from that.
Man, that is love. That's a form of
It
love
is a
in and of itself.
Exactly.
That's a form of love.
Yeah.
You know. So they may not do like the intimate lovey-dovey stuff,
Lovey-dovey.
but they're friends. They will
Oh,
curse
yeah.
at each other all the time. Oh, Daniel, welcome.
Eh?
Nice to meet you. No, for real. It's like that.
That kind of friendship.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, too bad. And they're just playing around, they're just playing around, but they're well to do.
It works
They
for
do well.
them.
Oh yeah.
It works for them. So
And I want to say, like, their situation was even their choice to make, right?
Yeah.
There's some people in other parts of the world that don't have the choice, whereas people actually brought them together. It's a cultural thing, and they have to go ahead. So for even those people, it's like the friendship wasn't even there. So it's like, how do they develop the love over time as well in a situation like that?
It all goes back to intentionality. I feel like the main thing is your decision at first to want to make it work. So you can build love. Love doesn't just happen. It grows, like we all say. It starts from somewhere, and with the help of God, with being intentional about each other, it should grow year after year. So couples can communicate, they can spend quality time together, they can serve each other selflessly, act of kindness, whatever it is that can work for you, for your situation, you can do to build the love. It doesn't have to be because this is the way we met, this is the way we our story began, and you should let that determine what your future is saying. That's baloney. You can figure things out. You can get out of that mindset and actually make it work. As long as you don't see each other and want to kill yourself. That's a different story.
Yeah.
So
And it's got to be a mutual thing too. It's got to be from both of them
Both
have
ends.
to want to
Yes,
Absolutely.
do
that's
that.
important.
And it kind of I was gonna, because of our time now, I may not go into that, but I was gonna say, is it the man's responsibility to develop that love, or is it the woman's
It's
responsibility?
both their responsibility.
Yeah.
Because one person can develop love for you.
For you,
You gotta
on your
develop
behalf,
it on
right?
yourself.
Exactly.
How can I say?
Well, I guess really
Can we say?
I guess the question, what the question was really asking is it like, would you say, right, is the job of the man to pull the love out of the woman, in the sense that, for example, we found each other, it is what it is, we're here now, we're married by circumstances, whatever the case may be. Now the man does everything he can to avail himself for her. He takes care of her, does this for her, does that. Whenever she's not feeling good, he's there for her. He doesn't overstep. He's very respectful of her. He buys her things, everything a woman would ever want, he does for her. To the point that she's like, man, I don't love this guy, but the way he loves me, I don't think anybody else will ever love me this much.
That right there.
Yeah.
That then becomes a choice she makes. I feel like,
no, but that's what I'm saying. Is that choice as a result of what the man did?
No, absolutely. Because when you look at things in terms of how you develop,
so that goes back to my question: is it the job? Because I'm again keeping in mind the listeners. Would you say to a guy who finds himself in a situation like this that put your best foot forward and do all these things, and then cultivate the love from her?
Well, that's assuming the boy already has the love for her. What about him? Do you get what I'm saying? That's why I say both. Do you get what I'm saying? Because if he doesn't have the love, she has to put in the work to pull it out. Vice versa.
Okay.
So both of them have to put in the work for each other to pull the love out of each other. If the man is the one saying, okay, I have to make this marriage work, so I'm doing, and she falls in love with him, and he's like, I don't even really love her, I'm just doing it because I want to keep my marriage, there's a problem. So both of them have an equal part to play in pulling the love out of each other.
Right.
Because both of them have to have the same feelings for each other. It's not one way. If he's doing it and he already has it, it's only one person he's trying to put. It's only one person that needs love.
Yeah, I think what PY is saying is, if one is like, when we talk about strength, if one is down and one is up, who should pick each other up? My response to that, I think it is whoever is up. So it could either be the guy or the woman. So if, like PL just said, if it's the wife that is the one that doesn't have any kind of feeling, any kind of anything for this person, but this other but the guy has some ounce and as determined to make their relationship work, then he should be the one trying to pull the love out. And if it's vice versa, then in that situation, it should be the woman trying to pull the love out of the man. If you guys understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess my own point of view also, and going back to saying that it has to be a choice that individual makes, is because if the husband is the one that is in love in this case, and the wife doesn't have any feelings, and the husband is doing everything he can to, he's doing above and beyond what any woman will want, and that woman does not see it or care for it, it's wasted, it's pointless, it doesn't do anything. She has to be the one to look at it and say, yes, I like what this guy is doing, I see the love he has for me, I want to give him that same love. If that choice is not made by that individual, it's completely pointless. So that's why I'm pointing out, in the sense of that individual choice is still needed, because you can go above and beyond. If I don't feel it, or if I don't make the choice to say, I want to actually put in the effort, I want to actually accept this love you're giving me, then it's not going to go anywhere.
I think you're right. It all comes down to a choice. I mean, I can be throwing it down, you still got to pick it up, right?
I got to pick it up, right? Exactly.
But I think I mean, you both have answered that question, but what I was really getting at was, who does the putting down, right?
It could be either or.
It could be either or, right? Depends on
because
the situation.
that's where I'm really going, because
depends on the situation.
Of course,
some people have the mentality like the man should be the one doing everything to make love, but that doesn't really add up, because it's two people that have to love each other, not one person. So it depends on who's the person that needs the love.
But then you could also say the man does the chasing, no?
He can chase from now to tomorrow. If the woman does not love him,
we're still going back to the choice. We get that. You understand what I'm saying? What we're saying is,
I'm of the mentality. Okay, so let me say
that's
this. I'm of the
societal
mentality.
mindset, though.
I'm
That
of the
is man
mentality of
that does
I
the
get it.
chasing.
In the stage where you guys are dating, you want to care for each other, the guy asks me out, all that, let the guy chase you. I get it. In marriage is a partnership. You cannot sit there and be waiting for your husband to be chasing you all day long. If
Thank
you don't
you.
put it down, you're wasting your time. It's a
Thank
100% partnership matter on that
All right.
on that situation.
Bam.
You better chase your husband or somebody else will chase him.
Hey. Well,
Pierre is not playing this morning.
I rest my case.
Especially our kingdom women.
Yes.
It will shock
It
you.
will shock you. It will shake
Stop playing.
Like that film trick.
Y'all better stop playing now. Oh man. All right, we gotta wrap it up.
Quick question before we wrap up. Does faith or Bible generally does it play any role in sustaining an unorthodox marriage?
I think it does.
Yes,
I
I
think
agree.
it does, because that's why I was saying that when you guys were both saying, nah, never, I could never. In my mind, what I was thinking was,
And he only you.
no. It's not about holiness. No,
No, it has nothing to do with
It
holiness.
has absolutely nothing to do with
holiness.
I think it's more about your heart posture
Okay.
as far as like godly compassion is concerned for people, not just for a specific person. So if you're Christ-like in the way you love, in the way you have passion and compassion for people, I believe that kind of person can make marriage work with anybody.
Sure.
You follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It can make marriage work with anybody because you see them the way God sees them. Not necessarily from your
So you can
this is
develop
my preference.
You can
This is
develop
my-
the love
I like
eventually.
that.
develop
I
the,
like that.
the love eventually.
That's a
You know what I'm saying?
different
So that's
level.
where faith and Bible kind of plays into it, where if you are faithful in your relationship with God and you live a biblical based life, to be quite
It can
honest,
sustain.
you
Absolutely.
can make marriage work with
Absolutely.
anybody.
Absolutely. That's
Fact.
true.
If we're being real.
And in fact, I like that. And it also, faith would help you see marriage as a covenant, not just a contract. You
Right.
know, when you make
Not just you.
it would help you put
And the
God
person.
at the center, right?
Yeah.
It will help you put God at the center. Love has to be better.
The Bible, nothing is impossible.
Yeah.
All things are possible with God. Nothing is impossible for God. So even in unorthodox marriages, God can blossom if you put God in it.
Absolutely.
Marriage can
Yeah. And I'm just going to close on this. Again, remember, the Bible tells us that love is more than a feeling. Love, and I think we've established that throughout this conversation today. That love is a command. Love is commitment. Love is an action thing.
Yes.
It's a daily devotion.
Yes.
It's a daily sacrifice that we make. And I personally believe that love is something that is best shown rather than told.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's best shown rather than told. You can tell me you love me from now to tomorrow.
Story.
If I don't
see it, you chat.
you chat.
Yeah.
So, and the truth is, you may not have entered your marriage in love or from a traditional standpoint, but you can definitely choose to build love every day. It's a choice, and it's a choice that has to happen.
It goes back to what PL keeps saying, choosing.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
And with respect, with patience, with honor for one another, looking at them from the lens of Jesus, the compassion of Jesus, you can actually begin to start to lay the foundation for love to grow. And in your marriage, no matter how it began, love can definitely thrive when intentionality is nurtured.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for this conversation. This is real stuff right here. So I love it. All right. So here is the MDB news of the week. In immigration news, which is hot right now, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security has announced a new initiative to provide a faster pathway to legal status for undocumented spouses of United States citizens. This policy aims to reduce separation for family caught in lengthy immigration processes, allowing thousands of couples to build their future together without the fear of deportation. The change is expected to bring relief to many, offering them a chance to fully embrace their marriage and a life in the U.S. So for more information, please make sure you're visiting the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, the USCIS. There is constant updates on immigration news every single day, especially now. So please make sure you're checking that website. Make sure you're keeping up to date with news and what's going on. The USCIS has been doing a great job in trying to keep everybody updated. Talk to your local lawyers, talk to your immigration lawyers. They're giving updates on a daily basis, trying to help everybody out. So make sure you're staying on top of it.
All right. Thank you so much, Pia, for that update. As we get ready to enjoy our weekend, here is the MDB quote of the day. Love is not always found. It is often built one small act at a time. I'll take that again. Love is not always found. It is often built one small act at a time. And that's by Can I say the name? Can I say the name first? And that's by Dr. Miles Monroe.
All right. Dr. Miles Monroe. That's facts.
Dr. Miles Monroe. All right.
One small act at a time. Yes.
Yep. One small act at a time. Again, that word
goes back. Yeah.
Action.
No.
All right. I hope we have shared a tip or two on today to help solidify your kingdom union, not only with yourself, but also with others, and most importantly, with God on today.
Do not forget to like, share with your friends and family, hit that subscribe button, and comment down below.
And until next time, be the light,
be the salt,
and remember,
all things are
possible
if you
believe. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, Bella.